Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving a spoiler review and just a spoiler discussion about my thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Grab your bucket of popcorn, grab a few snacks. I'm just here to talk about my thoughts. I'm going to go chapter by chapter. I'm going to be talking with my friend and giving our discussion of Justice League on Sunday on our new episode of Third Thoughts. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss whenever that comes out. So throughout this discussion, as I said before, I'm just going to be looking at my computer, going chapter by chapter and just talking about the stuff that I liked, what I didn't like about the chapters. So I'm going to first start off with just grouping chapters 1 and 2 together. The first chapter is called Don't Count on It, Batman, and then the second one is called The Age of Heroes. So I think that the main thing about these two chapters is that we basically already saw everything in these chapters before. It was just Joss Whedon's Justice League story, except in the eyes of Zack Snyder, so it was much longer. Of course, it had a lot more stuff in depth, which obviously I'm not going to complain about, but personally I just felt like it dragged on for too long. The first few chapters were mostly what we had seen before, just Zack Snyder's longer version. So am I complaining that we got that? Not necessarily, but it did feel like kind of a drag to me. We also got a recap of Batman vs Superman in the first minute or two of the movie, which is cool to see. It was a completely CGI 360 view of everything that was going around when Superman died. So I thought that was super cool actually. From a creative perspective, that is very cool. I love that he did that. It really gives it kind of throws us back to his zombie days. I think his movie was called Dawn of the Dead. It really brought me back to that movie. I thought it was super cool to see all that, everything basically of an apocalypse world where Superman died, and it was super cool to see that entire scene again, except 100% CGI and a complete 360. The shot itself was just super dope. We also started to get the extended origin of Aquaman. I think one of the biggest things that I didn't like about this movie was that Aquaman was kind of put down as a character. All the other characters really exceeded in this movie, like Wonder Woman, The Flash, especially Cyborg. But I think that Aquaman's character was kind of put down. Maybe Snyder changed his mind when he was going through editing the movie. He was like, we don't need as much cool shots of Aquaman since he's already gotten a movie. Wonder Woman is the main three, in the main three casting of the heroes of the DCEU. So obviously she's gonna have to keep getting that same screen time, even though she already has 2 movies. But maybe they kind of put Aquaman to the side a little bit just because he already has a movie. Now, yes, this movie was supposed to replace the 2017 version, but it is what it is. I don't really know what they were doing with that, but I just definitely thought that Aquaman's story was put a lot to the side. He wasn't really a main focus, whereas in the original Joss Whedon version, he was more in the forefront, which I liked actually, because I like Aquaman's character a lot. But I didn't mind because I actually liked a lot what they did with Cyborg. We also got a full introduction to Steppenwolf and his goals, what he wants to accomplish. I thought it was super dope to see his entire backstory. We actually got a lot more, obviously, since we had a lot more time. We had a lot more depth that we could go into his character. We got to see that he owed Darkseid some stuff in debt, and it was super cool to see him trying to repay his debt. And at the end of the movie, obviously he didn't pay off because he couldn't defeat the Justice League. He couldn't combine the boxes. But I definitely do think that it was super cool the way that they showed his backstory, whereas in the Joss Whedon version they kind of were like, oh, the boxes for mother, we have to put the boxes together for mother. This one actually had a goal for him to get to. It wasn't just some stupid version of oh, we have to do this for mother. That's all he said in the Joss Whedon version. He was just for mother. No, he actually had a goal in this movie, and I like the way that they played it out because it seemed like it made sense. It actually made sense what he wanted to do. He wasn't just doing it for some stupid reason that Joss Whedon made up, you know? We also had that first epic battle with the Darkseid in chapter 2. It was super dope. That was probably one of my favorite battles in the entire movie. I really liked what they did with all of the heroes. We also, I think one thing that literally flew over a lot of people's mind. So I think his name's Ares, or the guy with lightning. Hercules? That's not Hercules. the guy with lightning, I forgot his name, but that's literally Diana's dad. I don't think that clicked. I do not even know if he was in Joss Whedon's version of Justice League in the theaters back in 2017, but that is literally Diana's dad. No one, like, I didn't know that until I literally looked it up afterwards because I was wondering who it was. But yeah, that's his dad. That's her dad. Honestly, I thought that battle was super epic. It was super crazy to see a bunch of different heroes. A lot of them were 100% CGI. That's why they were in the rubble, so you couldn't tell the details on them. But I don't know. I thought that battle was super epic. I thought that the whole story of them fighting Darkseid was super cool. The CGI was very, very iffy though. Like it wasn't, not the biggest fan of the CGI, but overall I did like what they did with that battle. I thought they did that battle had great pacing too. Actually, they did a great job of splitting it up so everything like flowed really well, so like you could see like the humans, the humans fighting on one side, then the Amazonians, and then the Atlanteans, and overall it just like flowed really well. And then overall at the end of the both chapters we got to know the goal of what the Justice League needed to do. They needed to stop Steppenwolf from combining the three boxes, and we got that the idea that the team needed to start being assembled. And I also really liked that the team didn't get assembled right away. It wasn't like, okay, the Flash is here, Aquaman's here, and the Cyborg's here. No, it actually took time. We got that connection between Diana and Cyborg. We got that connection between Aquaman and him trying to fit in, or not fitting in, but Atlanteans needing him and saying that you need to come back as king, and that kind of persuaded him to come help the Justice League. So it wasn't an easy path to make the team, and I think that's what made the movie so good, is because most of the first half of the movie was getting the team together. It wasn't anything like, it was super easy to get the team together. It took work. It took Bruce Wayne some time to get the team together, but it paid off at the end. So I think now we're going to move on to chapter 3 called Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. This one is where we got the origins of Cyborg and the Flash. Now, the Flash's Cyborg in this movie is one of my least favorite parts. He was basically caressing a girl that was about to die. I don't know what other way to put it. I don't know if that's the best way to put it or the worst way to put it, but that's what he did. He was basically groping a girl who was about to die, and she was literally like, the car was like this, and he was right here, and he was like touching her face, and he grabbed the hot dog next to her and saved it so he'd give it to the dogs after. But that scene itself was super weird. There was like a love song playing when he broke through the glass. Like the glass breakthrough was so epic. I love what they did with like the warping glass and then the glass shattered. It was super dope to see that. And then they messed it up with the love song and all that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest part obviously of this entire chapter was Cyborg's backstory. God, I love his backstory, his life backstory. We got to see him playing football. We got to see okay, first of all, no one in the DCU knows how to drive. Iris doesn't know how to drive, and neither does Cyborg's mom. I'm sorry, RIP to her, but still, she has no idea how to drive. But I thought it was super cool to see Cyborg's backstory actually in depth, because in the Joss Whedon version, we only got to see Cyborg learning how to fly, and even then he just like propped straight up and started to jetpack and kind of find his balance. In this one, we not only had his parental conflict with his dad, because his dad felt guilty of not going to the game, where in the drive home is what killed his mother and basically made him into a cyborg. And it was overall just, there was a lot of conflicts, and I really felt like Cyborg was the main character of this movie. I mean, his character is the one that had an arc start in the beginning and end at the end. Batman, I don't know. Like, I don't really like what they did with the Batman in this movie. They kind of made literally Alfred more important than the Batman. The Batman's only goal in this movie was to be rich, supply them with whatever like transportation, and bring back Superman and undo what he did before. That's all he did. Superman's arc wasn't even close. We got Superman on the screen for 10 minutes at max. So overall, I would say Cyborg's character was the main character in this movie. I mean, he's the only character in this movie that had a arc from the beginning to the end that actually felt completed to me. And so I think that going off of that, we can kind of talk about Steppenwolf invading Atlantis, because that's like the only part of Steppenwolf that we get in that entire chapter is him invading Atlantis. and he gets the box. That fight that they had underwater was awesome. That was probably the best VFX that I saw actually in the entirety of the movie. The underwater battle where we saw the blood in the water, we saw him fighting everyone, we saw Aquaman fighting him for the first time, we saw Amber Heard's character and Aquaman together for the first time. We saw them talking to each other. I don't know, it was super cool. That chapter overall was just super entertaining. I also think, going off of the Flash stuff that I mentioned before, I think that the meeting with Bruce was the same exact scene that was in the Joss Whedon cut. So I liked that a lot actually. I liked that he didn't change that, because I felt like it was really useful. I felt like it was a great way to introduce the Flash's character into the Justice League, like the team itself. I didn't like the origin story, but I did like the way that they introduced his character to Bruce Wayne. But that's about all that I have to talk about for chapter 3, so we can move on to chapter 4, called Change Machine. This one I didn't have much to say. This one and part 5 I didn't have much to say. Basically, Change Machine was mostly all the one big battle after the team gets assembled. It was like in that underground place, and this time Steppenwolf actually held the scientist captive, or kind of used them as hostages, I guess. He was just kind of like trying to interrogate them to see what they knew about the mother boxes, because they had their sense on them. So I thought one of the biggest things that I had an issue with in this little part was, so Steppenwolf basically had a little spider thing, right? Why couldn't he have just put the spider thing on everyone instead of spending so much time interrogating them? This movie was 4 hours. It could have easily been 3, maybe even 3.5, maybe 3. So why couldn't he have just put the spider on their face and called it a day? Like, that's all he needed to do. He didn't need to talk to everyone. It just took him so much time. But I did like that entire scene. The entire battle was pretty good. The chemistry between Cyborg and him trying to like find his dad, finally seeing that he's using his powers for good. We saw the Flash and him working together for the first time. We saw Diana and the Flash working together, and then we saw Batman here and there. But again, the Batman's, he just didn't have any place. He's just rich. He can't really do anything else. He doesn't have any powers. The DCU's Batman is fairly weak when it comes to gadgets and just combat, compared to, for example, Christopher Nolan's Batman, or any other Batman. Just this one's a lot weaker, but I can't really do anything about that. So I hate talking about his Batman so much, because it just pisses me off. I don't like this Batman in the DCU. He's just too weak for me. He can't do enough on his own. He relies too much on Alfred. The other Batman, like Christian Bale's Batman, is a lot better. But moving on from that, we get the backstory of the main box that they're trying to use to bring back Superman, and we also get told that Cyborg was made from the box, and we get even more backstory about Cyborg, and Cyborg explained to the rest of the Justice League members, because Aquaman starts to question him. So we get that backstory, which is even more awesome, because we're just getting more and more added onto this Cyborg storyline, which obviously ended up paying off at the end, which is great to see. Again, the Cyborg storyline is just A+. And then finally, we see the Martian Manhunter and Lois Lane interacting in the house. Obviously, Lois Lane doesn't know it's Martian Manhunter. I don't know what the point of him there was, because obviously we know he was in the epilogue as well. I don't really know what the point of that was. That might have been part of his whole Snyderverse thing, where Martian Manhunter becomes part of the Justice League. I don't really know much about the character, but it was worth mentioning that he was in that part of the movie. His VFX looked absolutely atrocious. It was super disgustingly bad. Literally looked like I was playing a video game. No, actually no. Spider-Man PS4 looked better than Martian Manhunter in this Hollywood movie. But that's all I have for part 4, so we can talk about part 5 now, called All the King's Horses. This one is where they bring back the Superman. They have like heist vibes whenever they're breaking into the facility at Star Labs. I don't know, I really liked what they did there, kind of setting off the alarm, and all of them had to work together to get in there in the first place. And then we had after Superman comes back, we have Lois saving Batman. I thought it was cheesy, because I literally saw that coming from a mile away. And I'm gonna be frankly honest with you guys. I don't remember much from the original Justice League movie. I remember like a few scenes, like the bank scene or the terrorist scene in the beginning of the movie. I remember a little bit from the ending. I haven't seen the movie in like a year, and I'm not trying to watch Joss Whedon's version anymore because of this one. This literally exists, so I'm never watching Joss Whedon's version again. So I totally forgot that Lois saved Batman. If she did in the original one, I don't even remember. But I saw it coming from a mile away. I knew it, because the fact that she was in the area before, and then Batman obviously isn't gonna die. What other way is Batman gonna get saved other than Lois Lane and her love for Clark Kent? It was cheesy, but it made sense. It was, I don't really have anything negative to say about that, but at the same time, it was just cheesy, super predictable. And then one thing I think that a lot of people are gonna let slide, I guess, or not notice, is that whenever the box came out of the top of Star Labs, or the little ship thing, and then it fell on the car, literally everyone forgot it was there until Steppenwolf came for the box. Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Aquaman, everyone was too, even Batman. Batman wasn't even fighting Superman, he was just standing there. Everyone somehow forgot that the box was still there. Steppenwolf took it, and then they did the whole sacrifice thing with Cyborg's dad. I thought it was pretty cool to see that, though. I thought it was super cool. That's another thing that's on the arc of Cyborg, just adding on to the snowball of things that's happening with him. But now I want to move on to part 6, called Something Darker. Obviously, I know I didn't talk much about parts 4 and 5. I think parts 1 through 5 were actually, like, they went by fairly fast. Like, the beginning went by slow, and then they just started to pick up speed because the story was actually progressing. Whereas the first 1 and 2 parts of the movie were just backstory. They were just telling us what we basically already knew from the other movie. But after part 2, when we got to part 3, 4, 5, and 6, it started to pick up pace. It started to feel like a brand new movie because of everything new that we were getting in terms of the storytelling, not only for Cyborg, but the relationships between all the other members of the Justice League. So I felt like that part 6 is when it started to pick up a lot. And like I said before, part 6 is called Something Darker. Clark meets his mom again, and then he takes that first flight. It was absolutely phenomenal the way they did the first flight. I really loved it. I loved the visuals. I don't know. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of Man of Steel, but I really liked what they did with the first flight. It felt really sentimental, and it felt like they were doing a really big callback to the first Man of Steel movie, obviously. After that, we got a big battle, another big battle. It felt like this movie had of 2 big battles. We had the original one from the original Justice League movie, and then we have this final one. I don't know why, but in the original Justice League movie, I felt like those battles were combined. I don't remember. Please don't hate on me for this, because I have no idea what was in the Joss Whedon movie. I totally forgot. It's been a while since I've seen it, like I said before. But yeah, the final battle. I like that we got to see Aquaman and Cyborg fight side by side. It was the most hype fight scene I've seen in the DCEU in my entire life, okay? It was super hype. The music was awesome. Like I mentioned before in this video, the score in this movie was absolutely awesome. I really loved what they did with using certain scores for different characters, other than obviously that Flash intro scene where he was caressing Iris. I liked what they did with the Aquaman and Cyborg, where they fought side by side. There's like a techno, high-paced music. It was super dope to see that. It was super fun, because that was like the only time that we actually got to see Aquaman doing some badass stuff in the movie. Other than that, Aquaman was just standing there on the side the whole time. So I thought it was super cool that we got to see that. And then obviously we had Black Superman come in and save the day. Obviously I knew that was gonna happen, because what else is Black Suit Superman gonna do? I'm gonna keep calling him Black Suit Superman, because he's not normal Superman, at least in my eyes. So then the cubes go off. Everything seems like, oh, they lost. And then Barry reverses time, which is basically the only thing he's done in this movie, other than make stupid jokes during the worst times possible. And then Cyborg is working on dismantling the cubes, which is basically the end of his arc, because he's kind of trying to sacrifice himself, because he's like, I have nothing else to live for. His dad sacrificed himself so that they could find the heat signatures of the cube whenever Steppenwolf takes them. And then Cyborg's like, I have nothing else to live for. I might as well do this for the cubes and dismantle the cubes, destroy them forever. But then he doesn't die. Superman comes in, helps him. They destroy, dismantle the cubes. And yeah, that's basically the end of the movie, the main movie. Now we're going to talk about the epilogue. I don't have much to say about the epilogue, man. It was a good conclusion. The beginning of the epilogue was a good conclusion. We got to see the Cyborg conclusion, the Cyborg arc end. We got to see Wonder Woman kind of reminiscing on her past. Same thing with Batman. It felt like it was super unnecessary. I felt like they should have chosen. Did they want the nightmare sequence, or did they want the closing of the character arcs and showing what they did after that final battle? it was too much to have both in my opinion. But talking about the nightmare sequence, I felt like it was really pressured there. Like I felt like it was too like rushed, or not rushed, but I felt like it was too forced. Actually, that's the right word. I felt like they could have taken more time with it and maybe inserted it somewhere in the middle, made it its own part even maybe. But it made sense the way that they did it because Batman was obviously having the nightmare, and it was basically at the end, and it felt like a fan service. It didn't even actually feel like something that was going to impact Batman. Obviously, it's not the Snyderverse anymore. It's just the regular Warner Brothers DCU. So if we do get a Snyderverse, I would love to see Batman and him talking about the nightmare that he had. But one of my favorite things was the Joker in the Nightmare world. I didn't necessarily like I didn't necessarily like Jared Leto's Joker as like a character. Obviously, we only saw like 3-4 minutes of him with the Joker, but I didn't really like him compared to like Heath Ledger and like Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, you can't really compare them though. Like I'm just comparing them because I have nothing else to compare him to as a Joker. I didn't really like him as a gangster Joker. Back in Suicide Squad, so I'm gonna use this one as a comparison. I liked his acne Joker. It just felt super forced, you know, like it didn't feel like he was actually like, I don't know how to say it, like it wasn't like Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix is like their voices. They also felt a lot more normal, I guess you could say. But I would love to see more of that kind of Joker other than like the gangster Joker. I actually like that a lot. I like the way that they did his Joker in terms of like the laugh and stuff. It was super creepy. Okay, here's the thing. It didn't feel natural, but it did feel creepy. And then finally, like at the end, like actually at the end of the epilogue, we got to see Martian Manhunter. The CGI, like I said before, was absolutely horrendous. It was probably the worst thing I've ever seen on-screen CGI other than like the Hellboy movie. I think that it was just so bad. It literally made my head hurt. But yeah, guys, that's basically everything that I wanted to talk about in this discussion. I did say some things because I'm doing a Third Thoughts episode with my friend Brentley on Sunday. But that's again basically all I had to say in this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to put a like rating down below. If you stuck to the end, thank you so much. I know this is a different type of video. Usually I don't do these longer unedited discussion videos, but Justice League just had so much stuff in it. I didn't really want to sit down and edit all of it. I just wanted to have kind of like a conversation and let out all my thoughts. Also, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you guys are new around here and you enjoy the content, and turn notifications on so you get notified anytime I upload a new video or I go live on the channel. I'm planning on doing more live stream discussions with you guys. When I hit 100 subs, I want to start doing more live streams because that means a lot more people might come up to the stream and stuff like that. And I want to do Q&As and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, again, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to put a like rating down below. Share with your friends if you did enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.